Every week seems a little crazy until we get to this time of the week and we get Tim Blair and Mark Nicholson to make sense of it all for us. So thanks for joining us again, gentlemen. Now, it occurs to me that I should have put a bid into our masters here at Sky News to have the three of us hosting from Baku, Azerbaijan for the past week, reporting on all the ins and outs of the COP29 climate conference. I'm certain we would have put a different perspective on it, but we'll have to try and do that next time. But if we do get to go there, if we were there, I'm just wondering whether any of us would have expected to hear this in Baku, Azerbaijan.
My name is Claire Anderson and I'm the Group Director of Sustainability Performance at Worley. And I'm very delighted to be here today. And to start, I might, whilst we're not on Australian lands, I'd still like to start with acknowledging the traditional owners of Australia and the Torres Strait Islands and pay my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging.
Now, I hadn't shown this to you guys before, and I'm watching you on the screen. Your eyebrows, all four of them, nearly went off the top of your heads. Could there be a more bizarre time and place, Mark, to give us an Australian welcome to country?
It doesn't make sense. It's honestly, it's the definition of performative at that point. It doesn't make sense. We're welcoming to another country. Oh my God, my head's exploded. My head's exploded. I don't understand this. The breach of logic.
It is, yeah, Tim. I'm welcoming you to a country that I come from. And I'm welcoming the original owners, and I'm over here in what?
Absolutely. I mean, it's one thing offshoring various industries. Now we've offshored our Indigenous people. We've offshored the celebration of the original Australians. It's a bit rich, although, my hand is up for a trip to Baku with the both of you gentlemen during the Australian winter because they host a Formula One Grand Prix. So I'll give welcome to the grid. I can do that ceremony every day.
Welcome to the grid. We'll do the welcome to the... It is just bizarre. It's one of the most bizarre things I've seen, and wonders will never cease. So the only way you can top that is if we finally get an Australian astronaut to the moon, and we perhaps get a welcome there. Now let's go to something a bit more serious and more disturbing, and that's the ongoing anti-Israel attacks in this country and the anti-Semitism. We had this shocking attack in the Sydney suburb of Woollahra last night. F Israel sprayed over about 10 cars and a couple of buildings, and one car set alight. And I was astonished to hear the police react in this way.
There's a number of lines of inquiries that New South Wales Police are looking at the moment. It's early in the investigation. We're trying to determine the motivation for the offensive graffiti.
Tim, if they're looking to determine the motivation, there are a couple of clues around, i.e. what's sprayed on the cars.
Yeah. The motivation's probably indicated by a word beginning with F and the second word Israel. I'd think, not meaning to tell the cops what to do, but that might be a bit of a hint about the motivation. Just further on this, I think like a lot of people on the right, I'm not big on surveillance cameras and that sort of thing and an overt police state, but when this is happening, yes, bring on the surveillance and bring on as well perhaps something that adds to the surveillance, some sort of trigger mechanism associated with the surveillance, because this is repellent and it's exactly the sort of hatred that brought us October 7th in 2023.
It's absolutely repellent. There is some footage of a couple of blokes the police are following up on. There would be a lot of security cameras around that area. There's restaurants and businesses and the like. Mark, we've seen this all year and we've had such little action from state and federal governments. There's no leadership on this. This is what worries me. It'll keep getting worse and worse until people get seriously hurt.
100%, mate. I've had a gutful, to be honest. And if you come to my area, Fitzroy, Collingwood, everywhere you look, there's a little F Israel sticker. There's graffiti everywhere. I was out for dinner the other night, and a car just drove past, and the guy jumped out of the car and screamed "Death to Israel." And everyone that I was at this little outside venue with cheered cheer.
Unreal.
And it's because
George.
we're not even denouncing this stuff. We're almost actively encouraging it now. Where are the Greens? They're too busy, chasing 18C against Pauline Hanson for a tweet,
Yes.
and they don't even care about this sort of stuff. And then we've got a federal government who are more concerned about microaggressions and saying mean things to them online, so they want to censor the internet than denouncing this sort of stuff. We need real leadership, as you said, Chris, on this, because I've had an absolute gutful. It's heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking. It's so worrying, and that's a great point you make. I spoke to Pauline Hanson about her 18C conviction last night. I think it's an abomination. I'm glad she's appealing it. But there's the contrast. She's hounded over that tweet. That's supposed to be racial vilification, yet every day in this country now there is racial vilification of Jewish people. That's a very important contrast and paradox you've pointed out there, Mark.